In this video, I wanted to share with you 50, that's 50, limiting beliefs that are holding you back. If you don't know what a limiting belief is, it's something that you assume or believe that's not actually true or partially not true, that's holding you back from success because this belief is preventing you from trying or overcoming this weakness in order to succeed. There could be a chance, but you are limiting yourself by blockading that chance. So this comes from the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's a great book, and this man literally studied 500 of the wealthiest people on the planet in person for over 25 years. It sold 15 million copies. It's really well known in certain circles. And this guy, I mean, we're talking, he studied Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, people that you should know or at least, be aware of. Henry Ford, Ford Motors, it's a car company that's still around after so many years. And I recommend you check out this book if you're interested in that. And his real anthology, like the bigger one, this is really what he wrote because the bigger one was too thick to sell. I recommend Laws of Success, his other book, because that's really his it's like his A to Z on becoming successful. This is more of like a pamphlet thing that most people have read that's still really good, but not as great as the other book. So here are the 50 limiting beliefs, the top 50 limiting beliefs that may be holding you back in a certain way. And as I read through these, just remember that someone has had these obstacles to a even greater extent and has succeeded despite that. And finally, just remember that a lot of people, most people, spend much more time complaining or whining about their obstacles when they could have just spent that time overcoming those weaknesses and getting there a lot sooner. Number one, if only I didn't have a wife and family. Number two, if only I had enough pool. Number three, if only I had money. Number four, if only I had a good education. Number five, if only I could get a job. Number six, if only I had good health. Number seven, if only I had time. Number eight, if only times were better. Number nine, if only other people understood me. Number 10, if only conditions around me were different. Number 11, if only I could live my life over again. Number 12, if only I did not fear what they would say. Number 13, if only I had been given a chance. Number 14, if only I now had a chance. Number 15, if only other people didn't have it in for me. 16, if only nothing happened to stop me. 17, if only I were younger. 18, if only I could do what I want. 19, if only I had been born rich. 20, if only I could meet the right people. 21, if only I had the talent some people have. 22, if only I dared assert myself. 23, if only I had embraced past opportunities. 24, if only people didn't get on my nerves. 25, if only I didn't have to keep house and look after the children. 26, if only I could save some money. 27, if only the boss appreciated me. 28, if only I had somebody to help me. 29, if only my family understood me. 30, if only I lived in a big city. 31, if only I could just get started. 32, if only I were free. 33, if only I had the personality of some people. 34, if only I were not so fat. 35, if only my talents were known. 36, if only I could just get a break. 37, if only I could get out of debt. 38, if only I hadn't failed. 39, if only I knew how. 40, if only everybody didn't oppose me. 41, if only I didn't have so many worries. 42, if only I could marry the right person. 43, if only people weren't so dumb. 44, if only my family were not so extravagant. 45, if only I were sure of myself. 46, if only luck were not against me. 47, if only I had not been born under the wrong star. 48, if only it were not true that what is to be will be. 49, if only I did not have to work so hard. 50, if only I hadn't lost my money. Now, some of these I've definitely fallen into. Some of these you may have fallen into as well. Some of these are very clear to me that they're preposterous. Others, for you, they may not be that way. So remember that this guy wrote this decades ago, and yet many of these, if not all of them, are still very relevant. These are some of the top 50 limiting beliefs in the world that people turn to all the time. And I mean, just some of these right off the bat. If only I could marry the right person. How about you succeed on your own so you don't have to worry about someone else to mooch your money off of? I believe that whether you're a girl or a man or whatever else, you can now become the breadwinner. You can probably make more than whoever you're married to. Here's another one. If only I could get out of debt. There's thousands of Dave Ramsey fans who have gotten out of staggering debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It can be done. If only I were not so fat. Again, there's tons of stories on this. That one's much more difficult, but it's overcomable. It's not easy. If only I were born rich. I guarantee you there's some rich people who wish they were born, they didn't have all this stuff because they ended up spoiled, and they didn't have that drive. I believe that the most optimal way to be born is probably like middle class, where you have enough resources for all the education and opportunities, but not so much that you become spoiled and you do nothing with it. So, people have this false belief that, oh, if I was only born rich, everything would align. That's not exactly the perfect situation, really. Here's another one. If only I had somebody to help me. I think that's a big one. Nowadays, there's so much free information online that you can get started. And a common theme is these things hold you back. Because if you buy into this belief, what do? You have an excuse to sit there and do nothing. If you say, you know what, maybe I don't have to, wait for someone to come and pick me up and help me. Maybe I can get started on my own. Then that excuse phase, and you actually have the obligation or responsibility to do something. And a lot of these beliefs sometimes are rooted in the fact that you are pulling out excuses because deep down you don't want to take full responsibility for something. How about this one? If only I had a good education. I just read this great book. It's called The Education of Millionaires, and it goes through dozens upon dozens of self-made millionaires and billionaires in the modern age as well as back in times past who have succeeded despite being high school and college dropouts, and many have gone on to become billionaires. You think education alone will save you, but sometimes that's the complete opposite of the case. There's a lot of people who have degrees from law school or some other prestigious school, and yet they come out of school with a lot of debt, unable to get a job. And sometimes what you learn, you have to learn on the streets rather than from a class. Sales is a great example. It's really important to businesses, and yet most prestigious business schools don't teach any sales training. Here's another one. If only conditions around me were different. I don't think conditions will ever be perfect. And it's a great excuse for people to fall back on. In fact, this reminds me of the billionaire John Paul DeJoria, and he says, when I started, things were 10 times worse than what it is now. So it's just a way of complaining. When he started, inflation was like at a ridiculous level, a double-digit level, and it was very difficult to borrow because of the high interest rates in the double digits, like 10+%, like 15%. So remember that. Here's another one. if only I could meet the right people. Crazy thing is, you expect these things and then you get that chance and you meet the right people and nothing changes and you realize maybe it's not the people, maybe it's me. And it reminds me of T. Harv Eker and his book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And basically he started, in his book, he said that he started like several different businesses and it took him like over a decade, and each time he would fail. And he kept thinking, oh, it's just because I didn't get the right business, or oh, I just didn't do it right, or I wasn't lucky enough. And then one day his friend started a business in the same industry as him, and within a few months that guy became a millionaire and he was still broke. And he stopped complaining and pointing the finger, and he realized, maybe it's not the right opportunity, maybe it's me. Maybe it's because I don't have proper habits. And he examined his life and he realized he was lazy, he was cheating himself, and all of these things. Finally, I'm just going to pick one last one, and of course I myself am not like immune to all of these. I'm working on it. Let's just choose a random one. If only people didn't get on my nerves. I think a lot of people get on my nerves, and some people come across annoying. And yeah, I've definitely, in the past when I was younger, fallen into this thing. Oh, if only I had a place where I could focus and concentrate, and I didn't have to worry about these people who keep annoying me. Maybe part of that is true, but I would say I realized that there were times where I had peace and quiet, and that didn't solve everything either, because I would goof off despite that. And I was using, these annoying people who would barge in, whether it was at the library or whatever else, as a complete explanation for my lack in performance, when it was just a partial driver. So make sure that's not holding you back. Maybe some of these are partially true, but despite that, you shouldn't let them fully overwhelm you. I'll just give you one more. Let's go to this page. If only everybody didn't oppose me. I don't think everybody opposes you. I think some people do. How about another one? If only I hadn't failed. This constant dwelling on past failure is not going to change anything in the present. And the past is the past. That's unchangeable. And Richard Branson, he was interviewed and they asked him, do you have any regrets? And he said, I have no regrets whatsoever. I just want to see what my next adventure is. He's forward thinking. Those mistakes are those of the past. The best thing you can do, the only useful thing really, is to learn from those failures and then see how you can change the present or future to succeed this time, rather than just waste hours dwelling on those failures like it will. And if you do, it will kind of like become you, and you'll just be chained by your past. So keep that in mind. And thanks for watching. Of course, I will leave a link in the description if you want to take a look at this book. If you're new to this channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for free videos every Thursday. And I will see you next week. Of course, let me know the #1 limiting belief that is holding you back and what you will do right now to change it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, of course. And if you want more details, I will be sure to write a blog post counterpart to this. And if you want more teachings, I'll leave a link in the description right below this video if you want to check that out. Otherwise, I have plenty of other videos and you can check those out and watch them. And I'll see you next week.